Hey everybody, this is Dr. Schulman, and this is going to be the introduction to the assessment portion. Now, I think assessment's probably like one of the most important things. They made it a third of your licensure exam, and what does assessment do? Well, we have to know what? We have to know what our students know, right? That's the whole thing. We can't teach them if we don't know what they know. There's two real big types. It's formative and summative, but basically I constantly assess. Whether I'm backwards planning or forward planning, I'm assessing myself, having my students assess what they're doing. I'm doing a lot of metacognitive stuff. I think all of that is really useful in for students to be able to know exactly where they are and for you to know where they are so you can differentiate your teaching by giving like more work to some people than others. Now, there's a bunch of ways we can assess. I'm going to share my screen and I'll do a little intro for this, but there's a lot to this. Okay, sorry, that one just jumps right into formative, but if I go into modules and we just look at this one. So basically the way that the assessment works is you're going to get a little introduction, which is right now we do formative, which is just small in the moment or after the day, summative, which is like after a week, after a month, after a year, finding misconceptions, like how can we recognize which students are making mistakes, and using different types of assessments. After we go through these, we're all doing the project-based learning where you get to rate like 8 different types of projects, and so other things besides just regular paper tests. And then you get to pick either gamification, game-based learning. The assessment assignment, which we're going to look at right now, is the intro, creating your grading policy, or looking through all your standards. So you get to pick one out of these four for it to be done. Okay, so let's jump into just talking about assessment in kind of broad terms. So we'll look more at this one, but this is just to like see a little bit more about the assessment. So you have to develop 5 phases for your Common Core standard. So either passing a high stakes test. So these are the tests that they pass, need to pass in New Mexico. There's MAP testing. There's the MSSA test. There's the ACT, the SAT. There's the Regents examination. Basically, you're going to take one of these and just work backwards. So this is one plan for setting up a curriculum or setting up all your assessments. So you can just come up with whatever question you want to answer, the standard it has, and then like how do we work backwards? So we're gonna do what would the unit exam for that question look like? What does a weekly quiz look like? What does a daily exit ticket look like? What does a daily do now look like? And what does a check for the moment understanding? So all of these pieces you can constantly assess your students to see. This is kind of one way to do it, where you take like what the state wants them to know or the nation wants the student to know based on that standard, whether it's MAP or the NMSSAA or the New York State Regents or the SAT, and you just work your way backwards. So I like working backwards. I think it's really good. So what is summative? As I said, it's the end of a year, the end of a unit, or the end of a week. What's formative? It's like the day's over. What do they know? And there's tons of exit tickets. So I'll show you a bunch of them. Then there's the do now, which usually should set it up. So what can you do with your do now? It's like, what do they need to know beforehand to understand it? A good do now, like built on a previous skill. Like if you're teaching them a linear equation, a do now probably should be PEMDAS, right? Because that do now kind of brings up what they should know. And then here we go, the in the moment. So this is where you should always start. So either in the moment, a lot of times I use hand signals. I use this fist to five thing. So this is, I have no idea what's going on. I know a little bit, I know a little more, I know halfway, I know most, I know all. And the students hold it by their chest. This way, nobody else sees it. So they're more apt to show me what they know and they don't have to be embarrassed. A lot of people like thumbs up, thumbs down, and like in the middle, there are buzzers, and all these things like that. So some things that you should always think about are common errors, anticipating misunderstandings, providing different avenues for tackling problems. So that's this one if you want to do it. I know it's not like the most exciting one there is. I'm assuming most people are going to do the games and gamifying, but it's just a way for me to introduce assessment to everybody. So that was all I really wanted to say because I don't want to jump too far into it because we're going to do tons of formative stuff, tons of summative stuff, and we'll take it from there. So feel free to ask questions, but that is your introduction to what is assessment is.